The neon of Neo-Soul didn't just burn the eyes, it burned the mind. Up here, on the 800th floor of the Lethe Spire, the air was thin, cold, and saturated with the scent of synthetic cherry blossoms and ozone. I was standing in a garden of white stone and black sand, a Zen sanctuary for the corporate gods who own the memories of half the planet. But I wasn't here for meditation. I was here to kill the Nimasini elite, the personal guard of the memory painters. They were the ultimate security, assassins who didn't just take your life, they took your why. They used neural sides, weapons that emitted high-frequency flashes of amnesiac light. In a fight against a painter, you would find yourself holding a gun and wondering who you were supposed to shoot. You would see a body at your feet and realize you were the one who killed them, but you couldn't remember the last 5 minutes of your own life. To the painters, humanity was a canvas, and they were the ones who held the eraser. They thought the mind was a fragile thing they could edit with a strobe light. They assumed that because our consciousness was based on the flow of synapses, they could simply interrupt the current and turn us into empty shells. They believed that a soldier without a past had no future. They were catastrophically wrong. They forgot that while the mind can be wiped, the body has its own memory. They forgot that reflex is faster than thought, and that muscle doesn't need a name to know how to strike. If the memory painters wanted to turn the battlefield into a blank page, we decided to write our vengeance in blood that couldn't be forgotten. We created the Black Box Protocol. And we birthed the 6th Neuroresponse Unit, the Echo-Stalkers. We don't rely on our own brains during the fight. We wear echo rigs, external processing units mounted to our spines that record every microsecond of the combat and feed it back into our motor cortex as a muscle loop. We don't remember the fight, we replay it in real time. If a painter erases the last 10 seconds of my consciousness, the echo rig simply takes control of my nervous system and continues the movement I had already started. We are the only warriors in the galaxy who can fight while being functionally brain-dead. We are the Echo-Stalkers, and we're about to paint the floor with the architects of the void. I am Sergeant Kale Trace Vane. My echo rig is currently humming at a frequency that makes my spine feel like it's being electrocuted, and my HUD is displaying a wreck symbol in the corner of my vision. I am standing in a garden of white sand, facing 3 memory painters in white porcelain masks. And I've already forgotten how I got here. The flash was blinding. It wasn't fire, it was a wall of pure clinical white light that erupted from the painter's palm. 1 second I was breathing. The next I was standing with my face blade drawn, my heart racing, and no idea who the 3 figures in front of me were. My mind was a void. I didn't know my name. I didn't know the year. I didn't even know what side of the war I was on. Who are you? I tried to yell, but my voice was cut off by the mechanical roar of the echo rig. My body didn't wait for my brain to catch up. The rig sensed the gap in the timeline and initiated the vengeance loop. My legs moved on their own, lunging forward with a speed that felt like falling. I didn't decide to swing the blade. My arms simply followed the pre-recorded trajectory of the previous second. The lead painter, surprised by my lack of hesitation, raised a lenticular shield. The surface of the shield was a shifting mosaic of mirrors, designed to reflect my own identity back at me and shatter my ego. I hit the shield with my face blade. The blue energy of the sword clashed with the white light of the amnesia field. Sparks of neon violet showered the black sand. I felt my mind flicker again, another flash. Who am I? Why am I fighting? My body didn't care. The echo rig registered the second wipe, and increased the torque in my hydraulic-assisted shoulders. I spun, the face blade cutting a horizontal arc that bypassed the shield and bit into the painter's neck. The porcelain mask shattered, revealing a face of shifting, featureless gray smoke. The alien didn't scream, it dissolved into a cloud of ink-like data that stained the white stones. 1 down. Keep the loop. The second and third painters moved in synchronization. They were fast, moving in a series of frame skips that made them look like they were teleporting. They fired their neural sides, arcs of flickering white light that danced across the garden. Every time a beam touched my armor, a piece of my history vanished. I forgot the name of my mother. I forgot the smell of rain. I forgot the sound of the ocean. I was becoming a ghost. But the echo rig was becoming a god. The machine on my spine was now processing the combat at 10 times the speed of human thought. It was reading the subtle shifts in the air, the vibration of the sand, the heat signatures of the painters. I was a passenger in my own body, watching through a tunnel of static as my hands performed a lethal mechanical ballet. I dived beneath a side stroke, the white light missing my head by millimeters. I felt the heat of the beam vaporizing the air. My left hand reached for a static grenade on my belt. I didn't know what the grenade did, but the rig did. I threw it into the center of the garden. Karachik. The grenade didn't explode with fire. It exploded with information overload. A sphere of raw, unfiltered sensory data, sounds, colors, smells, and textures, erupted into the garden. To a human it was a headache. To the memory painters who thrived on the empty, it was a catastrophic system failure. The two remaining painters recoiled, their masks cracking as their sensory nodes were flooded with the weight of reality. The frame skips stopped. They were anchored to the present. My turn to paint. I ignited the overdrive on the faceplate. The sword grew from a 3-foot blade to a 6-foot lance of brilliant blue energy. I charged the second painter, my boots kicking up clouds of black sand. I didn't just swing, I performed it total overwrite. I drove the blade through the center of the alien's chest, the blue energy burning away the lenticular silk and the smoke matter beneath it. The painter shrieked, a sound of 1,000 broken memories. It collapsed into a puddle of gray ink, its existence deleted by the sheer force of the human weapon. The third painter realized the odds had shifted. It didn't try to fight. It tried to initiate a total wipe, a suicide burst of light that would erase every memory within a 5-mile radius, including my own basic motor functions. It began to glow with a blinding, terrifying intensity. Echo. Final loop. Delete the source. The rig responded by draining my suit's primary battery. My vision turned a deep, blood red as the combat mode reached its zenith. I didn't run at the painter. I threw my faceblade. The sword spun through the air, a circle of blue fire that sliced through the gathering white light. It hit the painter's core just as the total wipe was about to trigger. The resulting collision was a logic crasher. The white light and the blue energy canceled each other out in a soundless vacuum. The last memory painter turned into a cloud of white dust that was instantly washed away by the wind. The garden was silent. The wreck symbol on my HUD turned green and then vanished. The Echo rig let out a long hissing whine as it powered down, releasing its grip on my nervous system. I fell to my knees in the black sand, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I looked at my hands. They were shaking. I looked at the garden. It was beautiful, cold, and empty. Who am I? I whispered to the silence. Slowly the Echo rig began the download phase. It started feeding my history back into my brain, one packet at a time. My name is Cale Vane. I am a sergeant in the 6th Neuroresponse Unit. I was born in the orbital colonies of Jupiter. I like the smell of old iron and the taste of bitter coffee. The memories hit me like a flood, a chaotic and wonderful mess of pain, love, and boredom. I remembered the war. I remembered why I was here. I remembered the men and women who were waiting for me at the extraction point. I stood up, picking up my faceblade from the sand. The blue glow was gone, the metal cold and heavy. I looked at the Lethe spire, stretching up into the neon clouds. The memory painters were gone. The canvas was empty. But for the first time in a century, the history of the Dominion was written in ink that wouldn't fade. I walked toward the edge of the garden, my boots leaving deep prints in the black sand. I didn't need to look back. My body remembered the path. My heart remembered the mission. And my mind, scarred, edited, and reborn, remembered the victory. The strobe lights of the city below were still flickering, a million neon dreams fighting for attention. But up here, in the silence of the spire, the truth was the only thing left standing. We had fought a war for our own souls and we had come out with our names intact. I stepped onto the extraction platform, the cold wind of the high-altitude city hitting my face. The black box on my spine was full. The report was written. And the story of the Echo-Stalkers was no longer a secret. The porcelain is shattered. The ink is dry. The ghosts have been given a name.